Hi guys, so today I am going to be working on practicing drawing clothing, and this is actually something I'm pretty excited about working on. It's something that I've realized I really haven't studied or practiced it or even observed it really intentionally in quite a long time. I I'm not sure when it happened, but I think that there was some point in my past where I suddenly fabric clicked and the way that clothing wrinkled clicked and it just made sense, and suddenly I just had this way of drawing it, and I didn't really feel like I needed to look anymore, and I didn't need to study anymore because it made sense. And then I just kept drawing it the same way, and I drew every fabric the same way over and over again, and it was very repetitive. And I've been realizing now that the way that I draw fabric and clothing, it has really stagnated, and it's kind of been that way for a couple of years now, where I feel like not only has the way that I actually draw the fabric and the way that it wrinkles is the same, but also kind of the styles that I draw. I have the same types of colors that I draw and the same scarves that I draw, and it's just very the same over and over again. And I'm really pretty excited to break myself out of that and to realize that I do really want to study all the different ways that clothing can look, and that's a pretty exciting venture. So today is my first step in the right direction for that. So I ended up going to the library actually, and I got a ton of different reference books that have these really amazing clothing designs from all the way back in history. So that was the perfect reference for me to be able to find lots of different types of clothing that I wanted to be able to draw. And yeah, for this particular one, the thing that really drew me to it was all the different types of fabrics that it had. It has this really lush velvet, and it also has a satin, and that was something that I was excited about, kind of figuring out how to do different finishes, where the satin would have a really precise, sharp highlight to it, and that's what makes it look really satiny. But the velvet would have a more subdued highlight that was more displaced throughout the whole fabric. And that was something that I'm really excited about figuring out different ways to show different types of fabric, from more lush fabrics like that, where there's satin or velvet, or things that are more like wool and much thicker and they lay a lot heavier. So I was really excited about being able to see a lot of different ways that the fabric showed what actual type of fabric and material it was made out of, and how that actually influenced the properties that it had once it was actually being worn. So this one, I actually ended up deviating from my reference by far the most. I decided that I wanted to mix and match these pants with a different shirt, and it was definitely, I think, my least successful one, and I think that that's very telling. But it's good to realize that reference really does make a huge difference as far as how I'm able to make clothes look convincing and how well they look. And honestly, that's more exciting than discouraging, because it means that I have so much more that I can improve on, and it's just right there. It's at my fingertips to have reference, and it's an immediate improvement to the way that I already draw and the way I create things. So that's pretty exciting. I know that I really do want to start looking up at a lot more reference on how clothing looks, and how it actually behaves and how it wrinkles. And like I said, it's something that I think will really improve my artwork, is to focus on the reference for all different sorts of things like clothing. So I actually had a lot of fun with this one. I think it was interesting to see how fine the wrinkles were in this kind of fabric. And the shirt itself, I think it was more of like this really thin cotton, so it had this really small size wrinkles. So around where the arms bend, there was just a ton of them, and it was really interesting to see how it did that, and also just the different shapes that the wrinkles themselves created. And that was really helpful. It was something that, again, like I said, just being able to observe that and see how it actually behaves, it just adds to my visual vocabulary of when I am drawing. I can have that reference in my head already of how a thinner fabric really looks when it wrinkles, and that's a good reference to be able to remember and to have. And also for the pants, it was cool to see how few wrinkles there were, except for around the knees and around where it bunched up by her feet, which is something that I think I've kind of forgotten, is the fact that I can be more sparing with where fabrics are, or where wrinkles are placed. I kind of really love putting wrinkles, and sometimes they don't make sense. Like for these pants where they're a lot tighter and then they bunch up around the knees, it really shows how the actual fabric is tight around her legs, and that's something that I can learn from and do better at when I'm doing different types of fabric, is to find where the wrinkles would be and not necessarily put them everywhere. And I think doing these last two designs are probably my favorite. I always love doing dresses. There's just this like mystery and mythology to them, at least for me, and I really like that kind of magical aspect to them. So I really enjoyed that. I also wanted to make sure that I found ones that had interesting details that I haven't really thought of before that I can incorporate into my future designs. And that is about it for this little drawing session. I really did enjoy having a very dedicated drawing practice where I focused on a specific principle that I really wanted to focus on getting better at and studying. And I think that that's something that I really will bring into my typical way of working and my day-to-day practice type things, is being a lot more focused and direct about what I want to get better at and really studying that. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to hit subscribe so you can catch all my future art videos. And until then, I will see you at my next one. Bye!